it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Wacky Wednesday, good evening and welcome to It Zimbabwe. It's your favorite sports show and the team is here to deliver what should be an exciting edition of your favorite sports show. That team is Alois Munjira, Chris Midzi, Barry Manandia, our producer Sean Tafirinyika, and my name is Mike Madoda. What can you expect on the show? We start on the home front where there is some exciting news for rugby fans. Thabani Maguranyanga, one of the country's brightest prospects, has completed a dream move by signing for a top French rugby club side. Find out where he is heading and get to hear from the young man himself as well as his father, who has played an integral role in getting him there. We also have international sports news. We head over to Australia, down under, where Serena Williams breezed into the third round, but Petra Kvitova and Bianca Andreescu were the biggest casualties on the third day.
We'll take you around the world in 60, starting off in South Africa, where the Sharks have confirmed their interest in signing Springbok captain Siya Kolisi from Western Province, but denied that a signing fee was on the cards. We'll head across to Japan, where organizers of the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games will meet on Friday to discuss their response to sexist remarks made by President Yoshiro Mori. And in the United States, Steph Curry dropped 32 points, 16 of them in a pivotal third quarter Golden State run as the visiting Warriors rolled past the San Antonio Spurs 114-91 in the second game of a two-day back-to-back between the teams.
We'll take our play of the day smack dab in the middle of the show. Then it's time for the beautiful game where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said his Manchester United side needed a good result in beating West Ham following their last gasp disappointment against Everton on Saturday. In Italy, Juventus coach Andrea Pirlo is delighted to have reached the Coppa Italia final after last night's goalless draw saw Juve defeat Inter Milan 2-1 on aggregate. And in La Liga, a depleted Real Madrid moved to within 5 points of La Liga leaders Atletico Madrid by beating struggling Getafe 2-0. All of that and so much more to look forward to on this edition of ZiFM Sport. It's Wacky Wednesday, so why don't we start with a local track? What's wacky about it? There's an unexpected artist featuring on this track. Talkie Vibes, he's not the unexpected one. The unexpected one is that it's featuring Madam Boss. It's called Vanundi Taura.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Don't forget, your opinions, your thoughts matter very much to us. Get in touch with us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, or even on YouTube. Drop your comments and your thoughts. Simply search for @ZFM Sport. And then you want to engage us in our individual capacities, we are there too, at Chris Midzi, at Barry Manandi, at Gazaman 14, for Alois Munjira, at Sean Tafirinyika, and myself at Mike Madoda. Let's talk rugby. That big news that's exciting Zimbabwe rugby and Zimbabwe rugby fans. Thabani Maguranyanga, one of the country's brightest prospects, has completed a dream move by signing for top French rugby club ASM Clermont. Now, they do have a second name. I'm going to ask Chris to read the full name of the club. You studied French, didn't you, at school, Chris?
I still study French. I'll be fluent soon, I hope.
There we go. Are you hoping to get married to one of these French guys?
Fingers crossed. I heard they're the most romantic men, so we'll see.
Right, now tell us, how do you actually pronounce ASM Clermont Auvergne, whatever?
So it's ASM Clermont Auvergne.
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 All right, let's just stick to Clermont. Okay, we'll stick to Clermont. Now, the speedster signed the contract following his explosive performances at St. Stephen's Boys College in South Africa. Clermont is one of the leading rugby sides in France, and they play in the top 14, which is the top level of the French rugby league system. Let's hear from TJ, who is excited at the opportunity that lies before him.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank God, my mom and dad, my younger brother Zachary and Jesse, all my coaches and teammates for their tremendous support through my journey. I'd like to thank Cairo Sports and Halo Sports for facilitating this move. It feels surreal right now that at 18, I'm likely making my dream move to France, and I'll be joining one of the best rugby clubs in the world. I believe that at Clermont, I'll be able to grow as a player, but not only as a player, but as a person. I know that the work has only just started, and a lot of hard work still needs to be put in for me to reach my full potential. But I know that Clermont is the best club for me, and I'll be able to flourish and put all my talent on display at Clermont. I hope that I'm able to inspire the next generation of Zimbabwean athletes and just show them that it's possible to achieve your dreams and be able to go and play in the biggest leagues in the world. I am beyond excited to get started at Clermont, and as Clermont supporters say, rather I say, the best supporters in the world say, Les Genoards, Alliance Clermont.
Z.
Barry, TJ, understandably excited, and it's a move really that puts him on the cusp of what could be an exciting pro rugby career.
I think to put it into context, it's important for us to let those who aren't rugby fans understand the magnitude of this move, because it's not just that he's moved overseas. The French top 14 league is the equivalent of the Premier Soccer League, the Premier League, not the Premier Soccer League, the Premier League in England in rugby terms. So he's moved possibly to one of the top leagues in rugby. So he's achieved a dream, and yet he's still a teenager. So I think it's a massive move, and credit to everyone who participated in this, and not least of all Gerald Maguranyanga. But you're so right, he has every right to be excited about this move, because what it means is that he's starting at the top. The only way that he can go is higher and higher and higher. The only thing that we wait to see is what country he's going to represent, because right now he can represent Zimbabwe, he can represent South Africa, and he certainly, after he's played at Clermont for a bit, represent France even.
Well, Thabani, who's affectionately known as TJ, is the son of former Warriors fitness trainer Gerald Maguranyanga, and he was courted by several top European clubs, but his management team at Cairo Sports and top Australian agency Halo Sports settled for the French side. And it's good to hear, Chris, that for once, I mean, it's very rare that you get to hear that our young, bright prospects actually have management teams. They actually have people who are looking to place them in leagues around the world where they can develop their careers. And probably better than they would, say, if they were to stay in this country or stay in South Africa. I think what's critical when you have talents like TJ is to ensure that they're managed properly. There are a lot of agents who will promise a lot of things. You have a lot of fakers, as you can call them, but to have efficient management, and I think Cairo Sports is one of the best groups to come out of Zim in terms of managing rugby players. They do a phenomenal job, everything from the PR, actually managing to get these huge moves and get these players across. So I think it's critical for players to not only think about their careers in terms of, playing their best game, but you can only do so much when you play your best game. You also need the best management in order to get moves like this completed. Absolutely. And of course, Cairo Sports at the heart of him making that move into France. No doubt his father was pushing all the way. Let's hear from Gerald Maguranyanga, who's TJ's dad, and he's understandably ecstatic that they managed to get the deal over the line.
We're thankful to ASM Clermont for opening doors to TJ. We're also very thankful to the top local sports agents at Cairo Sports and their manager Nyasha Mchochomi and their worldwide partners for guiding the intricate slow process. It was not a walk in the park. It took many Zoom meetings with several clubs to eventually settle for ASM Clermont. I'll never forget the one meeting that actually finished, I think, at about 1 a.m. local time, and I was dozing and yawning, as you can imagine. But it was worth it. It's been well worth the wait. We are also very thankful as a family to TJ's several coaches. I would actually call those the unsung heroes. Right from his very first organized grade 3 rugby match at the St. John's Prep, I know I forget that, to his first team coaches at St. Stephen's, his school where he finished matric last year, and also I'm very grateful to the Golden Lions where he played in their various Cleveland Week sides. I must also point out that at 15 years old, TJ made what is called the ASA Rugby Under-16 High Performance Squad. So that means that TJ has been on the ASA Rugby radar for years, and that speaks volumes, I guess, about his potential. But we also don't know what implication that his being on the ASA radar has on a possible future international career. But I guess we will wait and see. As a family, we believe that the rest of TJ Maguranyanga's life earnestly begins now. This is it. This is the big time. But the young man also knows it will take lots and lots of hard work for him to wear the first team shirt at Clermont, a squad which is actually composed of many. You just have to Google Clermont and just see the quality of players that they have. It's a squad that is composed of many international players. But TJ, I have faith in my son. TJ will rely on his hardy Zimbabwean and South African upbringing. And he has a very well-defined work ethic, which predisposition, I believe, gives him unbelievable strength, speed, power, stamina, skill, you name it, for his 18 years of age. So let's just wait and see how this goes, but we're quite excited.
I would also be understandably ecstatic and very proud if I was Gerald Maguranyanga and my son was heading over to play in the best rugby union league in the world. Now, Barry, the one thing, of course, that you get to see if you have followed the progress of TJ, for me was a primary school kid at St. John's Prep School here in Harare, all the way to St. Stephen's out in South Africa, is that whilst Zimbabwe rugby can look on from the sidelines and clap their hands, they are not part of this story. This is the story of a father who's invested in his child. It's the story of a dad who's put in all the resources, worked his relationships to give his chance the best shot at a pro rugby career.
You've taken it to a crazy place, Mike, because you look at it, I think that's endemic not only in rugby but across all of our sporting codes, where in truth we as a nation have relied quite heavily on parental involvement, parental influence to get all of our top stars. Let's look at Kirsty Coventry, let's look at the Flower brothers, let's look at the Black family that played tennis, let's look at the Locke family in tennis as well. Those families have invested the time and effort and gotten their children to the highest level, when the NSA, the National Sports Association, hasn't really played an active role. And I think it happens too many times rather than us having a system and a pathway in which we can produce the best athletes.
Does that then explain, Barry, very briefly, why it's then easy for us to lose this talent? Because the boy will have no affinity for Zimbabwe rugby, for example, or Zimbabwe cricket, because you didn't play a part in my development. So it's easy for me to go to England, get a crack at county cricket, and then when England come knocking, I'll go play for England because I don't have a relationship with Zimbabwe cricket. Or in this case, Maguranyanga, whose dad has done all the hard yards, put in all the work. If South Africa comes calling, if France come calling, it's very easy for him to turn his back on Zimbabwe.
Absolutely, it makes it very easy for him to turn his back on Zimbabwe. You look at his the prime development happened in South Africa. Now he's off to France. France is going to then play a role in their development. So Zimbabwe is a little bit alienated, and we see that too many times in our sport.
Absolutely. Now, we have Alois Munjira on the show. Alois, I know you can relate to Gerald Maguranyanga with your son, Junior. We know he's out in the United Kingdom now. You moved him from Zimbabwe over to the United Kingdom, where he's on a soccer scholarship. And we've seen some of the clips that you've posted on social media, doing great things out there. But that's a personal investment, isn't it? ZiFM are playing no part in that. It's just you recognizing the talent, the ability, the potential in your son and giving him a fair crack at the whip.
Yeah, exactly, Mike. That's the situation here in Zimbabwe, that parents have to play a big part in their children's careers, because we see that our sporting associations, they don't have development programs, they don't have development structures where there is a system that the boys can actually track. So when you notice as a parent, it's up to you to actually identify the talent of your child and then support it, help to groom him, show him the way. I think that's the only way to do it. I'm very proud of Gerald Maguranyanga. I've been following what he has been doing with his son. He has also come to me as well, given me tips about how to go about it, because he was actually already doing it. He was hands-on. This way Thabani is right now, I actually believe that it's all Gerald's hand that is there, because he has been doing all the hard work, creating the path, like you said, the relationship. That's exactly what we intend to do. I actually can relate, because you know what, when you're a parent, when you identify, you need to see the direction where you want your child to go. I realized it when he was in high school, when he went Form 1, Form 2. I realized that there was no way that he was going to progress from Deure if I wanted him to progress faster. And then I had to bring him back to Prince Edward, where I could actually see that there is focus. People can actually see him play. That's when he was noticed for that scholarship as well. So this is what parents need to do. You need to actually identify the talent, see the path that you want your child to take, then place him in that path so that he can actually ride. I don't know where he's going to end up, Junior, that is. I don't know where he is, but I've played my part to place him where he can be seen in the window so that he can actually advance his talent. I think that's what parents should also do. Identify the talent and create a path for your child.
Chris, the Maguranyanga story, the Munjira story, yes, all feel good stories, and the parents, both Gerald and Alois, must be commended, but it's a damning indictment on Zimbabwe sport, on the sporting associations, on Zimbabwe rugby, on Zimbabwe football, that we don't have the development plans and the grassroots programs that can actually nurture talent and give them realistic career prospects.
And it would be even better for our athletes if those pathways existed, because first of all, we'd unearth a lot more athletes. What we have at the moment is parents who are able to make those investments to get their children the visibility and get them onto the pathways that Alois mentioned. In order for you to do that, you need to be resourced in a certain way. So that automatically, a lot of students, a lot of potential athletes, a lot of potential greats are left unable to have that talent actually nurtured.
That's so true, Chris, because think of the kid who's out in Dangamvura in Mutare. Think of the kid that's in Cholocho in Matabeleland North, the kid that's in Sanyati, the kid that's in Rimuka in Kadoma, who can't even afford the simple things like data. So yes, never mind emails, never mind linking up with anyone. They are dealing with just the basic day-to-day bread and butter issues. So they can't afford their kids the opportunities that Munjira and Maguranyanga are affording theirs.
Yes, so we need our national sports associations right across to step it up in terms of unearthing more athletes. If we can get a TJ, if we can get a junior, we've got something here, and we need to make sure that the investments are made and the structures are created so that we can actually start calling ourselves, for example, an actual footballing nation or an actual rugby playing nation, but because we've got the resources in terms of human capital.
So it's a big congratulations to the Maguranyanga family, especially to TJ, as he begins that journey into France and possibly a professional rugby career. The questions that will need to be asked was, will he even end up playing for the Sables, or will he opt for the Springboks or France themselves? And then this story, a challenge to our national sporting associations and the SRC to come up with strategies where we can unearth a talent and give them realistic career prospects. This is ZiFM Sport on a Wednesday, Wacky Wednesday. Coming up is your local sports news roundup.
Hi, I'm JC Krill, Springbok and Blue Bulls backline player. You are listening to ZiFM Sports.
Let's get into it, starting with Paralympics, where Zimbabwe athletes yesterday attained classification to take part in the track and field at the 12th FAZA International Athletics Competition. This event is part of the World Para-Athletics Grand Prix, currently underway in the United Arab Emirates. Team Zimbabwe faced tough competition at the meet, where 50 countries have entered the competition vying to qualify for the Tokyo Games. Good luck to Team Zimbabwe. On to sports administration now. The Sports and Recreation Commission Acting Director General Sebastian Garikai has reiterated that national sports associations need to reapply for waivers if they wish to resume sporting activities this year. Garikai indicated that even if an association had applied for resumption last year, they have to reapply after circumstances changed when the country imposed a stricter lockdown at the beginning of this year. Let's go on to football news, and today we're talking about movements into Europe, and there's been movement within the Mighty Warriors setup. Now their star Immaculate Musipa is not only thinking about herself as she begins her European adventure with Spanish women's second division side CF Juventus Almasora. Musipa says her move to Spain will open doors for other players as she left the country this morning. The midfielder signed a one-year contract with an option to extend for another 12 months with the Segunda Division Pro side.
Hi, this is Mike Madura, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z. From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
Later on in the show, FA Cup action is front and centre. Manchester United through to the next round of the FA Cup. We'll be talking about that when we get to the beautiful game. But first, international sports news, and no better place to stop than the top competition that's happening down under. It is the Australian Open in tennis. Now, Serena Williams breezed into the Australian Open third round, but Petra Kvitova and Bianca Andreescu were the biggest casualties on the third day. Serena, who has dropped just 5 games in her 2 matches so far, beat Serbia's Nina Stojanovic 6-3, 6-love. Czech 9th seed Kvitova, who reached the final in 2019, was stunned 6-4, 1-6, 6-1 by Sorana Cîrstea of Romania. Let's hear from Kvitova, who spoke about her disappointment after being knocked out.
It was quite a roller coaster for sure. I unfortunately couldn't take the chances to win the first set, and I think that was really the key of the match. Unfortunately, I didn't make it, and then I played great second set, but I think all the games which we played over those 2 hours were pretty close, and it was a lot of juices, and she just took it, and she really had a great day today. She played a good game, and of course it's really painful, and I'm really disappointed about my loss. I didn't really bring the best tennis today, and it's really hurting, but I can't really do anything right now. So it's been great to spend some days here in Australia.
Z. The women's side of the draw always of interest, and I suppose at every Grand Slam, Chris, we're always looking at the exploits of Serena Williams, because she always gets so close and then doesn't get over the line. We hope that this time, we pray that this time she can keep going, and it's good to see her playing so consistently at this period.
It's great to see her playing so consistently right from the start of the competition, and one hopes that as she gets further and further along into the semis and into the final, hopefully, that she carries the same form. It's just, I'm not sure what happens mentally. I'm not sure if it's the increase in terms of intensity as you get further along the competition, but we do see her dropping out in the semis and in the finals, unable to finish. So hopefully this is it. This is the 24th. She's looking for that 24th, but she's not the Serena, even just physically, that we've always known.
The one thing that's playing into her hands, Barry, is that she really hasn't been taken the distance in any of the matches that she's played so far. So it means that she's conserving energy And if you take a look at the total times that she's spent on court so far, just 125 minutes, a little over 2 hours. So that's working in her favor. She's also lost quite a bit of weight. She's not as bulky as she was over the last 24 months. She's moving a lot freer on the court. So her movement has definitely improved in the lead up to the Australian Open, and that's something that should actually stand in good stead, because she was relying a lot on her baseline skills last year and the year before. I think she realizes now, with the younger players who are going to shift her from side to side, that she has to have her mobility going again. And so that's one area of a game she's worked on, and hopefully she'll be able to stay fit, avoid a huge workload leading into the crunch matches of the tournament.
She'll have some stiff competition, because the younger players, as Mike is talking about, she's got her movement back. But you look at players like Thabani Maguranyanga, they're playing consistently. She is, of course, last year's finalist, and she'll want to go one better and actually win it outright. And she's going great guns.
She's going great. So far, she's won on the hottest day of the tournament, really, 6-3, 6-1, and that was over Russian Lyudmila Samsonova. So she's doing well so far in this competition. But what's also working in Serena's favor is that some of the players, some of the favorites like Victoria Azarenka, Angelique Kerber, those players are out as well. So slowly but surely, the competition is being whittled away for her almost.
The competition is heating up, just like the temperature in Australia. Let's go on to the men's side of the draw, where world number one Novak Djokovic overcame a scare in his bid for a 9th Australian Open as he saw off American Francis Tiafoe in 4 sets. Djokovic aiming for a third successive title in Melbourne, 1-6-3, 6-7, 7-6, 6-3 on Rod Laver Arena. Djokovic, Michael, he's a man who loves Australia, and Australia loves him. Big Serbian community down there. He'll be looking at this one to get him back into that conversation of getting to that magic mark that has already been reached by Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer of Grand Slam. That is.
Yeah, absolutely. Australia is a good place for Novak Djokovic, and that's why when we talk about the GOAT and we talk about the most talented tennis player, why we gravitate towards Roger Federer, because he's got a nice, healthy balance in the Grand Slams, and he's fallen short, yes, at the French Open several times. But if you take a look at the spread, there's a bit of a balance there. When you take a look at Djokovic, I mean, it's lopsided towards the Australian Open, and people don't mention that. They want to bring that up when they're talking about Rafael Nadal and how dominant he is in France. But it's the same thing with Novak Djokovic. This is the tournament that Novak Djokovic usually wins, and if he doesn't win it this year, I fear that it's going to be very difficult for him to catch up to Nadal and Roger Federer, because he's got to win this one. The other three that come on later during the year are tournaments where the other tennis players have got more of a chance, and so he's got to win this one, draw within 2 of those 2 icons, and then hopefully give it a stab. He's got I think the time, in terms of age, he's got at least a couple of years on those guys. But the younger players are coming through now, Barry. There's some young guns out there who also want to start picking up Grand Slams.
Absolutely. So he's got to make sure that he starts getting his skates on, as they say. And you look at those younger players, Dominic Thiem is one that you certainly have to watch, isn't it, Chris?
He's managed to ease into the third round, and you take a look at his previous performances, taking a look at the whole of last year, this first tournament, he's going to want to make a significant dent, especially in a tournament like the Australian Open.
So all to watch, and we will be keeping an eye on the Australian Open, so you know where to tune in if you want to know what's happening down under. ZiFM Sport.
Hi, this is Benjamin Locke. I'm on the Zimbabwe Davis Cup team, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We take off in South Africa, where the Sharks have confirmed their interest in signing Springbok captain Siya Kolisi from Western Province, but denied that a signing fee was on the cards. Kolisi has been heavily linked with the move to Durban after it was recently confirmed that New York-based MVM Holdings had acquired a controlling stake in the Sharks. It's believed that Kolisi was eager for MVM Holdings to buy a stake in Western Province Rugby, but the deal fell through because the Cape Union's top brass did not want to hand over a 51% stake. We'll head over to Japan, where organizers of the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games will meet on Friday to discuss their response to sexist remarks made by President Yoshiro Mori. According to the committee, members will be invited to express their opinions on President Mori's remarks and to discuss the future of gender equality initiatives of the Tokyo 2020 organizing committee. Mori has apologized but is facing calls to resign after he made the derogatory comments at a Japanese Olympic Committee board meeting last week, where he's reported to have complained that women in meetings talk too much. Mike, the feminists and I are calling for this man to resign. I'm sure you have a bit of a different perspective.
No, why are you asking me, Chris? Listen,
feminists and I have targeted you.
No, I think he's got to go because that's a completely unacceptable thing to say. And he's got to take responsibility for that. When you are at the head of an organization, that's as important as that. It's not a male thing. You are representing a nation. You are representing women. You must speak not just for men. You must speak for women. You must speak for everyone. And for you to downplay the intelligence, to downplay the contributions of women in that nature just shows that you don't respect the contribution that women are making.
Mike Madoda, an ally.
I surprised you, didn't I? I surprised you.
You really did. And in the United States, Steph Curry dropped 32 points, 16 of them in a pivotal third quarter Golden State run as the visiting Warriors rolled past the San Antonio Spurs 114-91 in the second game of a two-day back-to-back between the teams. 7 players scored in double figures for Golden State, which snapped up a 2-game losing streak.
Hi, my name is Rudoni Shamba, Maitoria's super striker. You're listening to ZiFM Sports.
The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. All the rivalry.
Here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane. Catch him if you can.
All the stars.
Oh, back here's Liverpool 2 in front. Talk about impudence. Talk about improvisation. Talk about Sadio Mane.
And all the game-changing moments.
And Raheem Sterling rattles it home. And once more, City are in front in a trice.
All the updates from the Premier League on ZiFM Sport.
There was FA Cup action in England last night, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the United manager, said that his United side needed a good result in beating West Ham following their last gasp disappointment against Everton on Saturday. It took until the 7th minute of extra time for Scott McTominay to fire United ahead as they edged a 1-0 win to reach the FA Cup quarter-finals. Let's hear from the Manchester United manager.
Yeah, Scott has really developed that part of his game this season. Of course, we let him go into the box more often, unleash him. He's a very good striker of the ball and a very clinical finisher. He's as he was a forward or a striker in his younger days, you can see his authority when he gets a chance to finish.
Manchester United marching on into the next round on the back of Scott McTominay's goal. Alois, you've got to say that he's probably one of the most underrated players, not just at Manchester United, but also in the entire league.
Yes, of course, Mike. He is a very good player, but underrated, and sometimes even the coaches underrate him. You know, I don't think even Ole has got so much confidence in the player as well. But he is He's such a good player. You know, he plays simple. He's not defensive type of players, but he just gets the job done. And I'm enjoying it. I'm appreciating the way he's playing in midfield, because whenever he is there, he has got this mobility and he has got this ability to actually stay in his position. Now I'm liking the fact that he is actually going forward to score goals. That's 2 in 2 matches, in which is actually very commendable from a midfielder. And well done to Manchester United as well. Never say die. Kept on fighting. You know, a lot of teams will just think, you know what, we're just gonna go for extra time, go for penalties, but they just kept on going and they got that winner as well. But McTominay, I think he is one of the best players in midfield for Manchester United, but underrated, like you say. He doesn't get enough game time as he should, but I'm sure that with time he will gain ground and start playing regularly.
And Chris, for Manchester United, important that they bounce back. And the one thing that Man United has done very well is that whenever they've had a setback this season, they've managed to respond almost immediately, meaning that they've hardly gone through a really bad patch of form, except at the start of the season. So it's a team that's developing, it's a team that's growing, it's a team that's showing character.
It's a team that's showing character and that bounce back ability to be able to go back to the drawing board after each setback and decide exactly what's going on, what they need to tweak, what they need to fix, and come back in the next game and manage to win it. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is apparently good at tweaking and managing to keep United on a decent run, such that they're not going down an entirely slippery slope.
In the other game that was played last night, Bournemouth beat Premier League side Burnley 2-0. Tonight's action will see Swansea City host Manchester City, Leicester City entertain Brighton, Sheffield United versus Bristol City. And the big game tonight is the Toffees, Everton, who drew with United 3-3 in the league this past weekend, taking on Jose Mourinho's Tottenham Hotspur. This, Barry, it's difficult to call, because you take a look at Everton. We all thought they were down and out against Manchester United when they were down 2-0, managed to bring it back to 2-2, and then United goes ahead and they were able to show resilience by getting a last-ditch equaliser to have a share of the spoils with Manchester United. Tottenham now have Kane back. That combination with Son could be the telling factor in this clash.
It certainly will, and in truth, it makes for a very tasty affair on the basis that you've got an Everton side that's playing a lot more under Carlo Ancelotti. They seem to want the ball, and when they have the ball, they use it very well. And also a team with character, as you quite rightly point out, shown and demonstrated in that game against Manchester United. Tottenham are willing to cede the ball in typical Mourinho fashion, and then try and hit you on the break. So it makes for a very tactical game that it'll be interesting to see who then prevails. The difference maker, I agree with you, is likely to be the fact that Harry Kane is available for Tottenham Hotspur, and that could be the shifter.
So an interesting matchup, this one. The Toffees taking on Jose Mourinho's Tottenham. Two sides that will want to go deep in cup competitions. Already Spurs are in the Carabao Cup final, where they will be taking on Manchester City. They will be looking to go deep in this competition and have a chance of adding further silverware. For Everton, it's the quest to end a trophy drought that's been running since 1995. As the Liverpool fans love to say, 1995, 1995. You haven't won a trophy since 1995. Carlo Ancelotti has got some work to do.
It's Coppa Italia time in Italy, and Juventus coach Andrea Pirlo is delighted to have reached the Coppa Italia final. Last night's 0-0 draw saw Juve defeat Inter Milan 2-1 on aggregate. Mikey, you've got to say that a bit of silver always puts the shine on any sort of season, and Pirlo is well awake to that. Getting into a final is the first step to getting some silverware. And listen, his season has been patchy in the league, but if you bring some silverware, it's all good.
Yeah, absolutely. They seem to have picked it up over the last 8 or so weeks. I think Juventus has been gaining on the league leaders in Serie A. And in this game, they'll be happy. I mean, the celebrations at the full-time whistle really told a story, because Inter Milan made them work. they pushed them all the way. I mean, the last 20-25 minutes, Juventus was hanging on because Antonio Conte threw in attackers, removed the holding midfielders, removed a defender, and he went all out in search of the goal that would have seen Inter Milan actually qualify for the final. But it wasn't to be, because the defending that we saw, especially from De Ligt, as well as just the experience brought in by Gigi Buffon in terms of his organization of that defense, meant that Inter Milan couldn't find a way. So Inter Milan will be kicking themselves, because if the ball had just rolled the other side of the post, if they had the rub of the green, they could have been the side that was going to the final. But for Pirlo, I think this goes a long way in answering some of those critics, Chris Koff, who questioned his appointment. Because at a club like Juventus, it's all about winning. You've got to win silverware to justify why you're the manager.
Yeah, and Chris, as a very vocal critic of the appointment of Andrea Pirlo, are you eating a bit of humble pie with how they've picked it up in the league and have got a run going, and then also getting to the cup final? That's got to be a decent start for a young manager.
Decent start for a manager who had 0 hours of managerial experience before he landed the biggest job in Serie A. And look, I'm happy that he's proving me wrong. At the start of the season, it looked like, oh, what a mistake Juventus had made, but you could see what he was working towards, kind of, and it's definitely coming together. It'll come together even better with some silverware. So look, I'm happy for him, and what this does is that it definitely justifies the appointment, and also gives other clubs a little bit more bravery in terms of appointing younger managers.
Alois, looking at throwing forward to the final, you look at it tonight. Atalanta and Napoli play their second leg. From the first leg, it ended 0-0, so either one of those could go through to the final. And you got to think to yourself that Juve will think to themselves, the tougher test we've managed to get past, because any one of AC Milan, Inter Milan would have been a tough test in a final, because there's 90 minutes of football, possibly with extra time and penalties. But you got to think to yourself, they'll have a lot of momentum and courage going into the final on the basis of upstaging Inter in the semis.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Barry, because they would be thinking that, you know what, our semi-final was actually the final before the final. Now we're going to be meeting a weaker opponent per se, in either Napoli or Atlanta. But it's actually quite interesting if Atlanta manages to advance to the final, because they are the more unpredictable side of the two. Napoli, if Napoli comes against Juve, we'll definitely say Juve are going to win this one. But if it's Atlanta, you don't know which team comes, because those guys, they score goals. As long as they defend, then they've got a chance, because they will score. They always score. So it's quite interesting who goes in. But like I say, I think that they will fancy their chances as winning the tournament, the trophy, because they think that after going past Inter, they would have actually surpassed a tougher hurdle, and they can actually beat either Napoli or Atlanta. But like I said, it would be interesting if they meet Atlanta in the final.
And very interesting if Napoli makes it all the way to the final. There'll be a bit of a revenge mission for Juventus, because remember, Napoli beat Juventus 4-2 in a penalty shootout in last season's Coppa Italia final. So they'll be hoping and rubbing their hands, hoping that the team from Naples is the one that they face in that final.
Let's head into Spain now. A depleted Real Madrid moved within 5 points of La Liga leaders Atletico Madrid by beating struggling Getafe 2-0 last night. Madrid were without 9 first-team players, prompting Zinedine Zidane to adopt a 3-5-2 formation, which he had admitted they had not practiced, with Marcelo and the 20-year-old Marvin Park as wing-backs. Barry, it's a fantastic thing that they only had Getafe in front of them. Getafe, a bit of a stutter at the moment, because Real Madrid was significantly depleted.
They are, and listen, in truth, the fixture was kind to them, but this is again a momentum shifter, because when you are that depleted and you galvanize and work towards getting a result, even though you are that depleted, sometimes it can be just what you need to turn your entire season around. I know it seems a bit paradoxical, because you think to yourself, I know it's like there are a lot of second stringers, but sometimes when you have those second stringers and you think, can we get a result here, and you get that result, sometimes it can galvanize the team and say, you know what guys, we're actually better than what we've been doing so far.
Alois, Atletico Madrid slip up. Now there's 5 points in terms of between Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. They've dropped some points, but does this necessarily open up that title race?
It's actually open. Like we said, that it was for Atletico Madrid to lose this title, and it looks like they are trying so hard to lose it for themselves, because now 5 points is delicate. Like really now, this is Real Madrid, this is Barcelona that is chasing you, and you dropping points, you making them come closer. Once they are closer, we know what happens now when it's towards the finishing line. These guys, they can hit 6-7 games without losing. So it's actually very pertinent for Atletico Madrid to maintain a very big gap. 5 points is delicate, and I'm afraid that it might just get closer.
That gap at the moment, 5 points, but don't forget Atletico Madrid still have 2 games in hand, so it could be a little bit wider. Tonight's action, informed side Sevilla and Barcelona face off at the Estadio Ramon Sanchez Pitch 1 in the first leg of their Copa del Rey semi-final. Sevilla have won their last 7 games in all competitions, 6 of those without conceding, while Barca have won 6 in a row. The winners of this tie will go either to face Atletico Bilbao or Levante in the final.
All right, let's wrap it up with news out of Germany, where Borussia Dortmund have reported losses up to £23 million, which were released in their financial figures for the first half of the 2020-2021 financial year. The German side actually generated net profits for the second quarter of the financial year, but the losses incurred for the first quarter were too great to see the club turn an overall profit. And whilst under normal circumstances, Barry, this would be something of a setback, but in the present circumstances, that's what's happening across the board. All clubs have been hit financially as a result of the pandemic.
A loss of just £23 million. I'll take that, especially in this COVID era. I don't think they're too worried. I think they can make that up, especially given the robust, strong financial model that Borussia Dortmund has in place. So I foresee them actually being able to turn this around rather quickly as soon as we normalize as a globe.
While the club's turnover is reported to have decreased by almost £53 million to £155 million, down from £208 million the previous years. Dortmund currently sit in 6th place in the Bundesliga table, 2 places outside of the Champions League spots. And Alois, it's imperative, it's important that Borussia Dortmund maintain their Champions League status if they're to thrive financially or recover from these losses.
Yeah, of course, Mike. We know that in European football, being in the Champions League is a big money spinner, and Borussia Dortmund, they actually need that. And sitting in 6th place, it doesn't look good for them. You know, when you're looking at the losses that they've made, they need to recoup that by being in the Champions League. They cannot afford to go for one season without playing Champions League football. They need to get back there. They're a big squad. They're a big team. They need to do it. I'm a big Borussia Dortmund fan. Although I'm just watching so that they can play in the Champions League for me to watch, but they have got business to do. They need to be in the Champions League for the money. They need it. So we don't want to see them not playing in the Champions League. They have to do something. They need to start hitting consistency and climb up the ladder and get into that top 4. They won't win the league, definitely, but they have to be in that top four squad.
And quickly, Chris, one of the reasons why they need to qualify for the Champions League is in order for them to hang on to their best talent, and if they are to sell, to also have some sort of leverage when they are selling their best talent. If they drop out of the Champions League, it will be very easy for that talent to leave, to go and want and play for clubs that are plying their trade in the Champions League.
Absolutely. The likes of Jadon Sancho will have even more reason to want to leave Borussia Dortmund. So they absolutely need to ensure that they're still playing in the Champions League in order to have a little bit more leverage on their current players.
Well, that's all we have time for. That news of Borussia Dortmund brings us to the conclusion of the show. Don't forget, tomorrow is our shortened show. We track back in our power profile, and tomorrow we'll be looking at the World Cup, France 98. What a World Cup finals that was. If you want to retrace those steps and hear the exploits of now chubby Ronaldo, tune in tomorrow on ZiFM Sport 5 after 6. Don't miss it. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manandi, out.